Look what I got. Hey everyone, I got this in the mail, and well, it's not true. I got a phone call from the coin shop who got this in the mail, and they handed me my box of goodies. And today is going to be the first part of the reveal of the grades I got on notes. So, what is today? Today is going to be the top 10 graded error notes that I sent in. Top 10 notes. And of course, there's actually 11 because there was a bonus note. And I know some of you are thinking, boy, you're having a rough time counting to 10 lately. And that's just the way it works out. But this time I have the feeling that you're actually going to get more than 10. So let's get started. The first note that I had graded, this was my bonus note. And this was this particular note, which didn't have the seal on it, didn't have the year, and it didn't have the signature. And as you can see, it's been graded. They graded it a 30. Now, I didn't know if they were going to call it an obstruction error because it didn't have the seal here and it didn't have the serial number. But I was confused because the signature is part of the third print, or the second print, I should say. The year is also part of the second print, but the seal and the serial number are part of the third print. And they didn't call it an obstruction or anything like that. They simply said it was an insufficient inking error. Well, I think that this was done by a rookie because that means that this has two errors on it. And what are the odds of two errors? Each of these errors is 1 in 100 million. And for it to have happened twice on the same note, I find that very, very odd. But that doesn't change the fact they call it an insufficient inking error. I mean, you can see the back is just fine. There's no problem there. They did put a notation, insufficient inking of the overprint, and they did call it minor rust, but they still called it a 30. And when you talk minor rust, there's the minor rust that they're talking about right there. Now, I put this one down as a 20 because I saw the creases, I saw the dirt, I did see the rust there, but they gave it a 30. I'm happy. I'm happy that they gave it a 30. I'm happy that they designated it an error, and I'm happy that they graded it. So I'm going to call that a win because when I saw this note, I thought it was a fake error. According to PMG, it's the real deal. So that is definitely a win for me. All right, so number 10 on the list. Number 10, I've had a lot of people talking about wet ink transfers. And this was my $1 what I called a wet ink transfer. You'll notice that this is the back of the bill. You can see that there is the reverse of the seal on there. And if I was to show you the front of the note, you can see how light this particular seal is. To me, that implies that they heavily inked the seal, and when the next note fell on top, it sucked up part of that ink, and you then had an entire run where you had a light seal on the back or on the front and a matching seal on the back. So that was my thought. I thought it was a wet ink transfer. They did not call it a wet ink transfer. They called it an offset printing error, which is interesting because an offset printing error generally means that they started the production before the paper was installed and that the print was printed on the back plate. Now, if that was to happen, then you would think that you would also have the serial numbers on there, and you don't. So I think they boned it on that one as well. I think this is definitely a wet ink transfer, unless they simply consider wet ink transfers also as offset print errors. They gave it a 30, and they gave it the EPQ designation. I wasn't even considering EPQs when I did this. EPQ is exceptional paper quality, and they note that on the back here as well. Exceptional paper quality, offset printing of the Treasury seal is what they have. And like I said, when you look at how light the seal is compared to how dark this is, that clearly shows you how dark the green ink was on the front for this, and yet it doesn't make sense that it's so light. So yeah, like I said, that's their ruling, offset printing of the Treasury seal. Not that I agree with it, but that is the official designation on that error. So that was number 10. Number 9. Oh, for what? That's right. Number 10, the offset print. I put wet ink transfer. I figured it to be a 30, and they gave it the 30 EPQ. So that's a win as well. Number 9. Number 9, I went with the $20, this is a 1985 $20 note, and I said it had the gutter fold on the corner like that, and I was a little concerned because there was some writing on it as well. For this particular one, let's see, where is it? Gutter fold is what I said. I put it at about a 20. And what did they call it? Well, let's see. They called it a butterfly fold error, which I can see. I guess that makes sense. A butterfly fold, you've got the two wings like that. Butterfly fold error is the official designation that they gave it. I figured it to be about a 20 because it's been circulated. It's got writing on it. It's just not in the greatest of shape. They called it a very fine 30. So once again, another note of mine graded above what I thought. That's part of the benefit of undervaluing your notes like that, because then you get the pleasant surprise of seeing how high it actually grades. Now, not only did it grade a very fine 30, on the back they did put annotation because there is the ink on the front. Once again, you can see on the back, the back was printed correctly, and when they went to do the front and move the page, that's when the corner got bent in. Excuse me. But yeah, that one came out of 30. My guess on it was a 20. So I am quite happy on that one. Number 9. Number 8. Number 8 is the only large size note I sent in as an error. This was my wood chopper, and this is the public error note. My wood chopper, now I didn't have a whole lot of faith in this note. It is rather dirty, and it does have some flaws on it. So I didn't hold it in that high of regard as far as condition goes. But this particular note, let's see, where do I have it on here? Public error, there it is. I said 15 or 20. And they, of course, gave it the public error, and they called it choice 15. Now, let's flip this over here, and I'm going to show you on the back what the public error is. This word public right here, if I zoom in and hope it focuses, yeah, it's not going to focus real well. But the first U in public right here, the plate broke, meaning the U looks like a C. So it looks like it says PCB rather than PUB for public. So that is the public error. Now, speaking of errors, there's ink on this note right here on the bottom. This is ink from a pen, and it is so heavily inked that it's soaked through. That's clearly ink from a pen. It has the blue tinge and everything else. They did not note any ink. They just called it a 15. They didn't knock it for that, which amazes me. So yeah, I got away with another one. My public error, number 8 on that list. I said 15, so did they. Number 7. Number 7, this is my filled star. You can see right here the star is filled in compared to how this star is not filled in. If we look real close, you can see that one is completely filled in. And they did grade it. So I was wondering what they were going to call that. Well, it turns out that they call it a solid star error. Solid star error is what the denotation is. And that's the big thing, to actually have it recognized as this. I mean, yes, a solid star is what it is, but for all these notes, having this designation, that it is an error, not just my opinion, it truly is an error. For this particular one, the filled star, I said it was probably about a 25. I knew that there was some creases here in the center, and it wasn't that great. They said a 35 EPQ. So once again, undergrading my notes. Looking at the back, you can see EPQ, exceptional paper quality on the back. I found this one in circulation, so that was definitely a win for me. That was number 7. Number 6 on the list. It is my $10 offset print error. Quite easy to determine what the error is on this. Once again, they started the print process before the plate went in. So what happened is when they were printing the back of the note, the first print, the print went on the back plate, and so now you have the back plate covered in wet ink. Then they put the paper in. I guess this would be the better way to do it. Then they put the paper in, printed this part, so this part comes out clear. but the wet ink transfers onto the other side of the note from the back plate. That's where you get this particular error from. So offset print error, you can see they gave it a 25. What did I say? $10. I said 20, and they put it at a 25. So once again, I'm ahead again on my notes. I do agree that this one is the offset print error, so I think they got that one right. So that also is another win for me. That was number 6, right? Yeah, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Number 5. Number 5 I call my freak note. It is my $100 note with the appendage. You can see here there's an obvious cutting error, and if you look real close, you can see the fold. What happened was this note had the corner folded over before it was cut, and that fold over there, then there was the cut, then you unfold it and it's sticking up again. And I noticed that there was the center fold as well. It is a circulated note, so I didn't hold it too high. They called it a cutting error, much like I suspected. But what grade did they give it? 35, choice very fine, EPQ. Once again, I didn't even consider EPQs for my errors. Take a peek at the back. You can see exceptional paper quality. And once again, no other notation. And why is that important? Right here, there's part of a counter stamp. You can see this corner here. You can't see the other corner because it's blending in here, but that is clearly a counter stamp on the back. Yeah, they let that slide, so I got away with yet another one. Must be rookie day at the grading at PMG, because they missed quite a bit there. Number 5, my error note, my freak note, cutting error. Number 4, this, I called it an insufficient ink error. $5 note, insufficient ink error. You can see that that Lincoln's face is very washed out. It looks like the bill is damaged, like it was sitting in water. The thing is that this bill is in really, really good shape. You'll notice that the ink on this side is crystal clear. Here the ink is not, and on this side the ink is crystal clear. And if you check out the back, the whole thing is really good. So that's how you determine that this is an error. Now, like I said, I called it an insufficient inking error. They did not. They called it a solvent smear error, which I guess makes sense. When they clean the plates, they use a solvent to get the ink off, and if they don't dry them completely, then the next batch of notes that they print are going to have the solvent smear on there, and the ink doesn't stick to the page. So solvent smear error, and I had this one pretty high, actually. Insufficient ink error, what is what I called it. I put it at a 64, and if I remember, where is it? I think this was one of the notes that might have been dropped, if I remember correctly, because let's see that corner. Trying to see how sharp that corner was. Anyway, when I looked at this note, I figured it to be real good, and I called it a 64. They only gave it a 58 EPQ. So I was kind of surprised in that. I don't know why. Maybe this wasn't the one with the corner that I was thinking, but I just expected this one to come out at least a 60. So yeah, 58, that was a little disappointing on this one for number 4. Number 3 on the list. Number 3, I also called an insufficient inking error, because to me there is insufficient ink on this $20 note. The front of the note is fine. There's nothing wrong with the front, but the front does let you get a better idea of condition of the note. You can see there's quite a bit of folding and stuff here. 1988A is the series on this 20. And let's see. I called this note a 20. And they called it a 25, and they also gave it a different designation. They called it a board break error. So a board break error, what they're saying is that the back plate would be referred to as the board. At least this is my understanding. And when they print the note, what happened was that back plate is broken, so there is no pressure being applied to this side of the note. So when they come down to print this side, there's pressure here, but there is a break in this point, so there is no pressure on this side. So when it comes down to print, you get nothing. That's my impression of it anyway. I could be wrong. It could be the actual printing plate itself, but to me that would be a broken plate, and this they clearly call a board break error. The 25 is what they said. I thought it would be a 20, so I came out ahead there, and it's just neat seeing a different type of designation. I'm glad it didn't show up as insufficient inking. A board break error, that's definitely a different type of error. So yeah, I get to spread my wings a little bit and claim another different type of error. So that is number 3 on my list. Number 2, this one was kind of surprising to me. This is my $5, maybe it's better to show this side, my $5 missing third print. The third print is missing on this note, and well, it's not, it's actually been on the back. So this page was just inserted upside down, or I should say backwards, when they did the third printing. So the serial number and the seals are on the back. Now this particular one, like I said, you know, it's very cool to see the blank portions on the side. And this one I thought was really good, but my big question on this one was right here, because there are roller marks. Those roller marks happen when you put a note through a bill counter. So I did not have very high hopes for this one. This one I called, where is it? Insufficient ink here. I said the missing third print, I figured this one would be about a 63 because of that. And they said, nope, 64. So just when you think you got them figured out, nope, they will come up and surprise you. So 64 EPQ on this particular one. Of course, any note 60 and above, I forgot what the designation is, but all of the high-grade notes are going to have exceptional paper quality, of course, so that's not even an issue. But to get a 64 versus a 63, that is pretty cool. And that was number 2 on the list. And you'll notice I'm not putting values on these because there is no hard and fast book as to what the actual values on these notes are. So I can't really go into what the value would be or the increase in value for having them graded. But to me, the important part was not only to have them graded, but to have them authenticated as legitimate errors. That's the big thing for me. So number 1 on the list, number 1 is my $20 blank back. $20 blank back, nothing on the back of this one. It is a regular $20 bill, and I thought this one was really nice when I let it go, and I think this was the one that I was questioning. This corner here, maybe. I think this was the one that was dropped, because this note was really, I thought this was the best note that I had, and all things considered, I really can't complain because I made out like a bandit here. But the missing first print note, what did they call it? They called it a missing print error, and they gave it a 58 EPQ, choice about uncirculated. And I don't know why. To me, this note is really, really nice. I was surprised. I guess if I look just right, there's almost a little bit of black. Maybe it's just shadow, I don't know, but you can see how that corner is just a touch rounded there, and I have the feeling that's, you know, I don't recall it being that way, but either way, choice about uncirculated 58 with the EPQ and the missing print error on the back. Just proud to have this one encapsulated, knowing that no other damage is going to happen to this. I can't really complain, because overall with the notes that I sent in here, I came out way ahead compared to what I thought they were going to grade. I was very happy that my bonus note actually got a grade, and I was interested to find out what they called for certain things. So if you learned anything new this week, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. I love reading all your comments. Look forward to next week when I do the top 10 notes I sent in for grading that weren't the errors. That's going to be a cool list. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next week.